Good to go? All right, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Holy, here we go. So, welcome back to Around the Table Podcast, episode 9. First, before I introduce our guests, I want to thank those that have subscribed to our channel, watched any or all of our episodes, and the followers that we have on social media. We started this, I think, a couple months ago, and the growth has been definitely more than anything I could have imagined. So, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Without further ado, I'm with Mr. Daniel Fredric. I'm owner of RNWD Fitness. So can you actually, before we start, can you tell me like what you do now and how,
for sure.
and then we'll talk about how RNWD Fitness came about.
Yeah, so currently I work at Alexion Pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm.
They are actually, they have been acquired by AstraZeneca, which is a bigger pharmaceutical company. But I'm working there as a regulatory affairs specialist.
Mm-hmm.
So I work there full time, and I'm doing the fitness thing on the side. But
Yeah,
it's been a lot of fun, and I finished my master's up last year November. So
Mm-hmm.
I've just been working full time since.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
AstraZeneca, that's the vaccine nobody wanted to get. So RNWD Fitness, we'll talk about that because I've joined you at least for a little bit on that side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So how did RNWD Fitness come to be?
Yeah, so it all started off in about March or April of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So Pastor Ben Council, he had asked me to run a workout group with the grade 11 guys that I was
Just randomly?
Yeah, like he was thinking, when things open back up,
Mm-hmm.
summer 2021,
Mm-hmm.
with COVID and everything, we could try to run like small groups that had like
Mm-hmm.
an activity focus.
Okay.
And this way, like students who have been in lockdown, they'll have something to do.
Mm-hmm.
And this way they can kind of bond together and also like just grow in their faiths together.
Mm-hmm.
So when he asked me to do the workout group, it wasn't something that I put too much thought into.
Yeah.
But around that time, I was going through a lot personally. Like I'd been through a breakup a couple months before that.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle had just passed away from COVID, and we were in lockdown. So it was one of those things where I was just trying to reevaluate what I really wanted to do with my life.
Mm-hmm. And you're working from home too.
And I was working I was doing school from home at that
Oh, you're doing
point.
school from home?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Jeez.
there was a lot going on,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I felt like I was drawing closer to God, and I was doing a lot of reading scripture, just reading different faith books, and actually a book that I was reading called Crazy Love by Francis Chan. It talked about how, like as a Christian, our main focus is to love God and love others, but also being able to use what we're passionate about to build God's kingdom. And that idea really stood out to me. And, growing up in the church, it was one of those things where, there's people that preach, there's people that are youth leaders, there's people that are in the band, people that sing. So those are ways of doing ministry, but it was one of those things where I wanted to be able to use something that I love to do, and to be able to do that as a ministry, or to build God's kingdom through that.
Yeah.
So that's when the idea of running a workout group with the youth came about. And I think that's why I put more thought and attention and just focus into this. But yeah, it was just supposed to be a workout group, but it grew into something bigger. And I was thinking about, how can I make this something bigger than myself? So yeah, I can run a workout group, but why can't I include a faith aspect to it? So that's when I was thinking, how can I do that? And for me, my entire life, like just watching sports, I've always looked up to athletes, but mostly Christian athletes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you probably know.
Oh, we know.
Athletes that I've looked up to.
Yeah.
So obviously Jeremy Lin, Tim Tebow's another one. But I thought, why can't I be able to find Christian athletes who could pour into the lives of youth by sharing their testimonies? So it was kind of interesting. That's how we actually reconnected.
Yeah.
So you were actually the first athlete that I was able to invite out, and you did a phenomenal job.
Holy, I'm nervous.
The first week, I was like, dang, this guy's got a gift. He's just so talented at speaking, and the kids loved you from that first week, and you kept coming on. And I was able to invite a couple others, like my friend James and his brother, and even my trainer Josh. And it was really cool being able to hear their testimonies and how God was able to work in their lives, and how he was able to be a part of their athletic journey and just their life in general. So I think the kids were able to take a lot out of those stories. And then, things just started to really roll, and I just felt God moving in that entire process in the camp. And I just, honestly, I was just so passionate about it and loved everything that was going on that I just wanted to take things further. And that's when I ended up starting Renewed.
And you played sports when you were younger, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So, like, as a kid growing up, like, I played a bunch of different sports, like hockey growing up.
Play hockey?
Yeah.
Holy. Must have been the only one.
Just house league.
House league?
My brother and I. We're on the same
yeah?
today.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, I played a bit of soccer. And then in high school, I started to play basketball and volleyball. And I think I took volleyball more seriously. And then I played at UTM just 1 year. But, yeah. Honestly, like, sports has been just such a huge part of my life and aspect. I've been able to make a lot of friends through that. Even JV. We met through playing ball.
Is he nice? You can tell the truth. That's funny. With the NBA, the oh, that's hilarious. Oh, okay, so I'll ask, like, outside of that, so team sports is mainly what you've done.
Yeah.
And when you go into, like, the fitness realm, that's more of like an individual sport per se. Are there some things that maybe you learned in team sports that helped you to, I guess, run like a fitness camp? Because it's one thing if you're, say, like a sprinter, like an individual sport where you're the only focus is you. But when you play, volleyball, basketball, like, you have teammates that you have to rely on. So are there aspects of that you took or that helped you think, in trying to run a sports camp?
I think so. So obviously with running a camp, you're working with many different people, people with different opinions and just different characteristics. And just being able to accommodate people and just being able to, just be easygoing is a huge thing. And it's something that I'm learning more as I mature. And I struggled with that as I was a little younger. But actually at UTM, when I played volleyball, there were some characters on the team, let's just say that.
Yeah.
And, just being able to try to succeed as a unit, managing egos and stuff was a big thing on that team. And I think that, like, all in all, we did a good job. But, just people have different opinions and stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just being able to work with different players and try to set, like, personal differences aside and just have that one goal of succeeding as a team was a big thing. And that's something that I've been able to take in the workforce and with my fitness camp. And obviously, like, with this fitness camp, I haven't really faced any real adversity. I think everyone I've worked with has been super kind, super outgoing, and just been, like, really easy to work with. But I'm sure, like, in the future, like, I'll probably end up facing some sort of adversity. But yeah, so far it's been pretty smooth.
And when Ben comes and tells you about the camp, have you ever thought about, because you said you were involved in athletics, and you can talk a little bit about actually, like, your trainer, for instance, and that stuff that you've been doing with that. But, like, had you ever imagined running, say, a fitness camp or getting involved on, like, the personal training side?
So I honestly didn't actually imagine myself doing it. I have a couple friends, Paris Strathos, who is actually a personal trainer right now, and I was able to see how he was able to develop as a trainer. He kind of started things off when he was in his undergrad, or actually in high school, and he was just super passionate about it. And although, like, he ended up getting a degree in health sciences and working in the pharmaceutical industry.
He was in the pharma.
Yeah, he actually started in pharma. I was able to see how his fitness journey progressed, and he took his whole business to a full-time thing. And he started with a couple clients, and basically would work with clients throughout the year, and basically, like, at the end of the year, they'd have a photo shoot. So I was a part of, like, his Truth Body Systems team, and I was able to see how he was able to change clients' lives. So seeing him do what he loved to do definitely motivated me. So I wouldn't say I saw myself doing it, but I was able to get inspiration through him.
So, like, a glimpse.
Yeah, a glimpse of what it would be like. And he's still starting his journey, but I've seen, like, all the growth that's taken place in his life and in his career, and it's so inspiring to me. And with my trainer, it's, I guess that's where the question was going.
Yeah.
It was working with Josh Fan. So to give context, Josh Fan is Jeremy Lin's skill development trainer. He's been working with Jeremy since, I think, his first year at Harvard, if I'm not mistaken. So they've been.
Did he go to Harvard too? You know?
No, he went to Boston College, or a college in Boston. But him and Jeremy have been working together for years, and just like being able to see him just through Jeremy's career was crazy. Like just seeing how they develop. But this is where I kind of think that God works things for our good and kind of puts people in our place. But I remember last year I had recorded a video to post on Instagram to recruit kids to come to our camp.
Yeah.
And I was going to post that video, but the night before I posted that video, Josh Fan on Instagram posted that Jeremy's going to be going back to the CBA because he had kind of like given up on his NBA comeback, and he was going to go back. But because Jeremy's going back to the CBA, Josh isn't going to go follow him in China. He's going to stay in the States and try to like do his own thing and work with a couple clients. So he was looking to take on 3 clients that year, or for that summer. So for me, it was one of those things where I just, you know, I was like, what do I have to lose? I just messaged the guy. I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. I'm going to just message him. So I messaged him. And funny enough, he actually replied, and he's like, hey, Daniel, if you're actually interested in like doing personal training, like tell me a bit more about yourself. And that's where I was just telling him about like my fitness journey. So prior to that, I had worked out for about 4 to 5 years, and fitness has been a huge aspect of my life, but it was primarily to look more aesthetic, but I didn't really know much about the performance training side of things. So for me, like I have a decent vertical, but I wanted to see like how good I can get my vertical jump to. So that's kind of why I messaged him, and I also told him about like the camp that I was running for the summer and how I wanted to use that to build God's kingdom and like as a vehicle to push the gospel essentially. And he just thought it was really cool, and he asked that if we could like hop on a Zoom call. So we hopped on this Zoom call, and I kind of told him my story, and I guess for him he was touched by it. And he was kind of shocked because I wasn't someone who was trying to play pro, but I was just someone who just wanted to use fitness as like as a tool, right? A vehicle to spread the gospel. And I think that's what touched him a lot. And that's when he agreed to become my trainer, but not just my trainer, but to teach me about performance training. And he's like, so we've been working together since last July. He's built like a really comprehensive program for me to help increase my vertical jump and help me become a more explosive athlete. And it's been really crazy to see like the progress in my own body and my capabilities, but it's also been really cool to connect with him on a personal level. And just the fact that he's worked with my favorite player for, I think, 10 plus years, and the fact that he's working with me now and helping me with part of my career, I think is God ordained, something that like I couldn't even like make up as a movie script or something. You know what I mean? Like, so
okay, so I'm gonna bring it to the Jeremy Lin thing, because I always find the culture conversation interesting, and I don't know if I had the conversation with you or somebody else. I feel like I did. Oftentimes you'll find people will look up to people for different reasons. Now, typically people look up to people because they either see something in them that they could do themselves or they could have themselves, or it could be a cultural thing, or it could be just because they're doing something they want to do, so on and so forth. So why is it that, outside of just being a Christian athlete, why is it that you look up to Jeremy Lin so much?
Yeah, that's a great question. So actually, I think race has a lot to do with it. Race and faith. So prior to 2012, I actually never used to watch the NBA. I wasn't really interested in it. And I remember like, so I played on the basketball team in grade 9. My high school was super small. So like basically anyone that tried out could make it. But when I think it was grade 9 or 10, and it was during that Linsanity phase when he just went off. I just remember hearing about it. Just like this Asian guy from Harvard just going off, right?
Yeah, that was the headline.
Yeah, basically, right? And he went undrafted. And the more I looked into the story, I'm like, yo, this guy is such an underdog. Like, first of all, I don't see Asian guys just go off in the NBA like that. Second off, like, this guy's a solid Christian. He went to Harvard. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was really like he did really well academically,
Yeah.
right? So he's not just like just an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And just like seeing like how he was able to overcome all that adversity to
Mm-hmm.
be able to get into the NBA, like offered no scholarships in college,
Yeah.
going undrafted, like, and then seeing this guy blow up like that, it kind of gave me hope.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously I wasn't gonna go to the NBA,
Yeah.
but just seeing someone like that, it was almost like a superhero, or just
Mm-hmm.
like someone you can look up to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's where it started, and
Mm-hmm.
just like seeing how he's able to live out his life and stand for the right things and
Mm-hmm.
have good morals and just live for God.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a huge reason as to why I supported him.
So is it would you say it's kind of the going against grain per se? Because like you said, there aren't a lot of Asians in basketball, but there are a lot in like different areas that aren't pertaining to athletics. So is it a lot like that?
Yeah, so actually he talked about how a lot of like families or a lot of parents that were friends with his parents, they used to talk down on his mom for letting him play basketball. And it was just something that wasn't common to let your kid play basketball, let them play college. Just because like it wasn't something that they knew could be a good
feasible,
opportunity later on. It didn't seem
it's
feasible.
not secure.
Yeah, it wasn't secure, right? But once you end up with like that contract and like seeing how well he did, that's when people would eat their words, right? So yeah, just being able to see that success, it gave me hope. It's like you don't have to be or like fit the norm of what people expect of you. You can pursue things outside of the norm and succeed in that. And for Jeremy, that was succeeding in the NBA and having a 10-year career.
So then do you think, I'll say, do you think if we bring it back to say the culture conversation, are there things in, say, like an Asian household that are maybe that are permissible or not permissible, that are permissible, actually maybe I should say in Western households, because like you're Indian, you're living in the West, so you're not necessarily living by Indian culture, although that is your home, but there are things that people do in the West that maybe people don't do outside of the West. So or maybe I should say, what are some of the differences maybe you think between like Western households and Indian households?
Yeah.
As far as pursuing things that you want.
I think so. I appreciate my upbringing and my culture a lot. I think that my parents were able to instill a lot of like very good values into my life. I think respect, love, family, those are huge pillars in our life. But I think also like education, just like staying on top of your grades, being respectful to your elders, those are huge things. And I think they're great, but if they're pushed too much, they can get toxic. And I have seen some of my peers, just some Asians in general, who have gotten pushed towards a certain type of career, and they didn't end up wanting to do it, and you end up living your life unhappy. And for me, that was something that I didn't want. Like I didn't want to like pursue a career and be forced into it, and then 10, 15 years down the road regret it.
Have you seen that with other like friends, like family members, or?
I have seen it with certain like family friends or like people outside of my direct family. But it's something that I think our parents do with good intention. They just want to see us succeed. They want us to do well financially and just be established in this country. Because at the end of the day, they took a chance. They came to this country with not much, and they just want the best for us. And something my dad always tells me is, I want my ceiling to be your flooring. And I think that's a hard-hitting quote for me, because what he means by that is what he was able to succeed on and build, he wants me to be able to essentially have that as my base and be able to build off that and be even more successful. So I love that my parents were able to instill a lot into me, but I do think that in general within the Indian Asian culture, there is a high expectation to do very well academically. Yeah, and that's a big thing. And then when it comes to like other aspects of your life, like sports, social circles, those are things that are less important. So I remember like growing up, like obviously my parents would put us in like a variety of different sports, but academics came first.
Yeah.
Whereas I think in American culture, it's more of a balance.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. But yeah.
Okay. And then because you got to play sports, and I'm sure you have either people in your family or in your culture that did not, what are some things that you think if you didn't get to play sports you would be lacking in that maybe other people in your culture or like in your realm of culture like don't have that you were able to gain from playing sports?
So I think overcoming adversity is a big thing, especially for me. Like just working, like playing on a team, taking losses in sports, it can get to you psychologically. But one thing I really like about sports is it trains your mind more than your body, more than like the physical. It trains your mind into being able to like teach yourself, like, yeah, you took that loss, but it's how you pick yourself up and learn from that loss. So I think that was a big thing that I was able to learn from sports. And I think people can learn that doing other things. Like, you don't necessarily need to play sports to learn it, but that's how I was able to learn it. So I think that's one. And like I said before, just being able to like work with different types of people was another big thing. And I also think self-discipline, like just training for something, having a goal, was a big thing. So like training and self-discipline, that can translate to other aspects of your life, whether it's work, academics, sports, relationally, like just working towards some sort of goal and trying to get better, self-improvement. That was another thing that I was able to take away from sports. And I'm not saying that you can't learn these things from other areas of life, but I think those were like primarily where I was able to take that from sports.
You're putting your kids in sports?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, 100%? Yeah.
100%.
Okay, so we might as well bring it back to the camp. So you start the camp, Pastor Ben asks you, hey, can you start a workout camp? And you take it much further than maybe he had anticipated. So, wait, did you guys have a conversation regarding that when you said, because initially, what was the initial goal of the camp and what did the camp turn into?
So, initially it wasn't even supposed to be a camp.
Okay.
It was just supposed to be a workout group. But it was one of those things where I kept pitching these ideas to Pastor Ben.
Are you talking to anybody or are you just brainstorming this by yourself?
I'm brainstorming about myself.
Okay.
And then I would just ask him, like, yo, like, what do you think about this? And I'd text him. Literally, like, I was so invested in this thing, I'd, like, text him at, like, 12 a.m., 1 a.m., like, and this guy, like, he probably thought I was nuts. Like,
but, I mean, he's not.
Yeah, he's a little different.
Yeah.
You say that. Don't worry, Ben.
That's all right.
He basically would, like, approve or disapprove of the ideas. But, like, I was just, like, running ideas by him.
Like, name some. Like, name a few.
So I was like, okay, can we invite these athletes to come speak? I know a bunch of guys, like, can they come speak? Can we make this camp, can we run a combine the first week and the last week so that students have something that they can look forward to and be able to see their progress? I also asked if we can order t-shirts. I asked if we can use equipment. Like, there was a lot of stuff that I had to ask beforehand because I was doing it through the church, right? So they have a lot of rules and regulations that they follow. So every detail that we did at that camp, I had to run by Ben. And it was a long process, but I'm so glad I did it because it obviously gave me assurance that what I was doing was right. But I think doing it through the church helped because I was able to get the students to come out, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't have had access to those clients or the contacts, right? So I think that was really important. And sorry, like, to go back to your question, do you mind repeating?
Oh, well, no, I was going to say, well, we can go back to how it ended. I'm wondering, so when you tell because initially this is just for your small group. And you end up pitching it to the whole youth. So they didn't know what was happening until you pitched it to them.
No. So
what was their, like, reaction?
I think they were excited, but at the same time, they didn't know what it was about. Because it was the first time I had ever done anything like this, or really anyone at our church had done something like this. So I think they were just curious as to what it entailed. So I remember a student, like, I'm not gonna name names, but he literally asked me, he's like, so do we get a ride to the camp? I'm like, bro, you're paying $30, you're getting a ride here. But like obviously, like, a ton of different questions, right? But yeah, I think they were just excited in general.
Okay, and then so we'll talk about everything in between. So what it started out as and what it ended up being. did you ever anticipate it ending the way it was, or even whether it's people getting involved, the amount of kids showing up, if you had an expectation whether or not you'd, I guess, quote unquote, sell out, or how many kids would come? Like, what are some things you're worrying about? Maybe that's a better question.
Okay, so to answer the first part of the question, did I think it would turn out the way it did? Initially, no, but before the camp actually started, I felt really strong about how it was going to go. Like, I just felt like the way the ideas flowed, it was one of those things that, like, I just knew, like, the way the ideas were flowing, how things were going, it was going to go well. As long as the students came out, I think this was going to go really well. But that was the only thing. Like, would that many students be able to come out? Would there be enough students?
Because this is during COVID.
Yeah. So that was my only real concern. Would, like, parents allow their students to be, or their kids to be able to come out to the camp? Other than that, I would say, like, the only concern I had was, like, just the weather, because we ran it outdoors. So I was just hoping that, like, for the most part, that the weather would be good on Saturdays, and it did. Like, I think only one of the Saturdays we had rain.
Yeah, there was only one.
Yeah, no, it was perfect, and I think it couldn't have gone better. And you were there. Right?
Yeah,
and I think you would say the same, right?
No, definitely. And what were the reactions of the students? Because I'm sure you heard either some students, testimonies, or like what they thought of it. I remember my first week. My buddy Ezra, that guy was laying down. I think maybe after the first or second workout, he was laying down with his hands on the side like this, and I'm like, Ezra, we gotta go to the next station. He's like, he's like, bro. I think he did yak.
He might have.
I think he but he was laying at the side. I was like, all right, we gotta get this. We gotta get this one. You gotta get him out. We gotta get him out.
Yo, that guy improved a lot, right? So being able to see. So you asked about, like, what, like, students' thoughts were afterwards, and just how they were able to progress.
Yeah, how they progressed.
Like, for example, Ezra, like, that guy, like, he started off, like, pretty rough. Like, it was a rough start. But that kid got the most improved for a reason, right? Most improved athlete. Like, by the end of it, this guy was flying through the workouts. He loved it. Like, I got messages from him saying that, like, that was life-changing. It was also another girl, Taylor. She sent me, like, this message, and she was just, like, so touched by the whole camp. And she was just, like, she was basically saying that her life was changed because of the camp. And it was, like, messages like that which really touched me, and it made everything worth it for me. Because at the end of the day, if just one person's life was changed from that, it made everything worth it.
And are you talking to parents too, or? Yeah,
so some of the parents, like, reached out to me, and they enjoyed it. They were saying how big of an impact it played in their kids' lives. And it actually opened up opportunities for me to be able to work with, like, some of their kids one-on-one just throughout the year. So honestly, it was just a huge blessing, and I think that was the biggest takeaway for me, just seeing the impact on people's lives.
So, okay, so you might as well, so how, for those who don't know, like, how did you run it? The equipment you bought, like, how did you go about making the program? Structuring the weeks, like, how did you go about doing all that stuff?
Going about making the program, basically the idea was to run a combine. So test athletes, vertical jumps, broad jumps, 40-yard dash, max push-ups in a minute, and then their four-cone box drill times. And these are basic, like, performance assessments, and the workouts were designed to help increase these measurements for all the athletes. When it came to, like, designing the program, I did my best to be able to make a program, and then I sent it to a bunch of different trainers and athletes to be able to review, and I remember I sent it to you as well. They all gave me their feedback, and I was able to come with, like, a final product, and that's what I presented to the church. When it came to the actual equipment, there wasn't that much equipment that I needed. I think I used a couple resistance bands, some dumbbells. Honestly, I think that, like, just cones and ladders. I think that was it. Maybe some, like, balls to, like, play games and stuff. But yeah, other than that, like, the field had everything. And there was a hill to run hill sprints, so it was perfect. There wasn't much that we needed. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Or are there? I mean, I can think of a couple. Are there any funny stories you remember from the camp?
From the camp, okay. So when it first started, it was actually kind of funny. I remember I was sick of youth online.
Yeah.
So I told Jordan Slavin and Josh Quall, I'm like, bro, I can't do this no more. You guys hold down the fort.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna chill. Like, my mental health is like not great right now. So I remember one of the days, like, I messaged Jordan Samuel, and then we went to the field. I'm like, yo, we're gonna do one of these workouts. Like, just meet me at the field. Or I picked him up, and my brother came. So we're all at this park. Well, like, all three of us ripped off our shirts. We're just like running this workout. And then I see this like big German Shepherd like walking around the field, and then I look closely, and it's Hannah Elzohiri.
Yeah.
And this is around the time of like youth going on, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, Hannah, like, what's going on, right?
Yeah.
So then we go closer, and like it was funny because like all of us ended up skipping online youth at the same time. But it was one of those. It was like we all knew we weren't supposed to be there, but yeah, we were just dying. So that was a funny one, and that was before the camp. And then, like I said, like you mentioned before, a couple of the students yakking and getting pretty tired. Yeah. I remember there was one. I don't know if you like me sharing this one, but
no, there was one.
JB Shots has got it on camera.
I think there's one. The one I was looking for is when somebody was holding a band.
Around me. There was two.
No, I remember one. I remember one.
He only remembers one.
I remember one.
Okay, we'll say that one, and then we'll say the next one after. But what's yours? You share yours.
Well, I have a foggy memory because it happened so fast. So we were doing resisted sprints. Yeah. And I think it was your brother, Jonathan Fredric. Put his name in there. Was holding the band, and I was sprinting, and then I hear him behind him telling me slow down. Yeah. And usually when someone tells you slow down, you have to speed up. So I started going faster, and then I guess he couldn't hold it anymore, so he slipped and then he let go. And he couldn't.
That left a mark for sure.
Yeah, I did. I did. That's what I mean. It happened so fast.
We have it on. I have it on video actually.
I have it on video too. We can clip that.
I have a second story though, and I think Jonathan caught this on camera. But
I don't think so.
I remember Peter holding Brandon on the band.
Brandon's how old? 27?
Yo, Brandon was like 17 at the time, or 18. He was 18 at the time.
Oh, so weird.
So, yeah, you definitely do. So remember?
No, you don't have it.
He 100% has it.
No, you don't have it.
He does.
If you don't have it, you don't have it. If you don't have it, you don't have it.
Don't listen to this guy.
If you don't have it, you don't have it.
Brandon's pulling this guy, and he could not hold on.
It was the end of the workout.
And he let go.
It was hot outside.
The band clapped Brandon right in the butt. This guy goes flying. It's so funny.
It was at the end of the workout. My hands are sweaty.
No, I'm not buying that.
No, my hands are sweaty. But yo, if you don't have the clip, you don't have the clip.
Well, we got pictures,
I actually don't remember.
We got everything.
I don't think if you didn't get it, nobody got it.
We're putting in a reel too. Don't worry.
In a reel?
Yeah.
Holy shit, I gotta delete my Instagram for a little bit. Don't tag me. ZXHD is not available. Holy, no, that's funny. Okay, so you went from Portico Fitness to Renewed Fitness. So what gave you the confidence to make you think that, you know what, this is not a one-time thing and I can continue to do this?
So I think part of it was just how passionate I was about fitness. Like I love training. I love self-improvement. And I just love like working out. I love that grind. So I think that was a big thing, because if I don't love doing it, why would I do it? Second off, I think the fact that I'm working with Josh Fan, he's been able to help me, teach me about performance training, and he's agreed to work with me like for the near future, or at least like the long-term future. I'm hoping like everything goes well, but I think those two things were big in me deciding to be able to pursue this as something further. But yeah, like just having that confidence and seeing how God was able to orchestrate things that summer, I just knew that this was something more than just a one-year thing. Yeah. Okay,
so now that you have Renewed Fitness, like where do you see it in the future, or what are your plans, I guess I should say, going forward? Because the summer is like rearing around.
Yeah. So this summer, actually, the two of us are actually going to be running another camp. It'll be similar to last year's camp, except for the fact that we're going to run two camps. So one of the camps is going to be a general fitness camp, and you're going to be leading that. And the second one's going to be a sports performance camp. So it's going to be helping athletes become better athletes, essentially. So become more explosive, more robust, and help with just strengthening the body to be more injury resistant. So those two camps are going to be at the same time, at the same field as well, and they're going to be running simultaneously, and we're going to be doing the warm-ups together, but then the exercises and the actual workouts itself are going to be a little bit different. But yeah, so we're going to be running that this summer, and like hopefully everything goes well. But I think moving forward, I want to continue working on my own personal training, just with my trainer, and he's going to continue to help me increase my vertical jump. So hopefully like I can add a couple more inches to that and see where that takes me. But aside from that, honestly, like I really don't know. Like it's one of those things where I've just taken everything step by step, and I haven't tried to like think too far ahead. And I've just like God lead me through this entire process. And yeah, like it sounds funny, but I really don't know where this thing's gonna end up in a year or two. But
it's a good answer. Is there something maybe you could say that you really want the students to get out of this camp that maybe either they got it from last camp, maybe they didn't, but what is like the general, or I guess say the main focus or the takeaway that you want kids to get away from this camp?
Yeah, so like obviously like personal training and just like improvement is a big thing. And I want them to become self-sufficient when it comes to like working out, training, and just being able to work out through the year, because that was something I found when I was younger. I just didn't have that discipline like in high school. In university I was able to get it, but in high school itself, when it came to like working out by myself, it's something I struggled with. I needed someone else to be with me. And yeah, like I just hope that students can adopt this mentality that if they put in the work, regardless of if they have someone else working out with them or if they do it themselves, as long as they're able to stick to a program, put in the work, they'll see results. And just to be self-motivated, intrinsically motivated to do it, that's a big thing. Additionally, faith is a huge aspect of my life and why I've started this whole thing. So I think just drawing closer to God, and if they're not Christian or if they don't know who
is it
God
open to everybody?
It's open to everyone. But just if they don't know, or just being more open to the gospel message is a big thing for me. And that's the reason why I do what I do, why you do what you do. And I think it's just a big driving force in my life. And I'm just hoping that if they aren't Christian or if they don't believe in God, that they would just be open to hearing that message. So yeah.
Okay. And then one of the questions I think one of the students wanted to know was calisthenics versus, is it weight training?
Weight training.
Yeah. What's the difference? Or if there's a benefit to one more than the other?
Yeah. So for me personally, I do both. I see benefits in doing both.
What is calisthenics and what is
Yeah. So calisthenics are primarily like any sort of body weight exercise, whether it's a pull-up, push-up, a weight, like a dip. So essentially using your body to create movement. Whereas weight training is using something exterior, like a barbell, a dumbbell, resistance band, you know?
Yeah.
So for me personally, I use both types of methods in my training. I think calisthenics is very good in improving your relative body strength. And it's something that I like to use for a lot of the younger athletes as well, just like being able to like improve your relative strength. So being able to do a pull-up, if you can do like a number of pull-ups, that's when I would progress you into a lat pull down. Being able to do a push-up, that's when I would progress you into doing a bench press. So I think there's definitely benefits to both, but if I were to choose one, just stick to one, honestly, I'd probably go calisthenics. I just think
less expensive.
Expensive?
No, I said it's less expensive.
Oh, less
like
expensive.
It's less expensive.
Yeah,
you can do it anywhere.
Yeah, and it's just like being able to move your body in different ways, I think is so cool. You see all those Instagram guys like being able to do muscle ups, weighted dips, like it's insane. But yeah.
Okay, and then for my final question, I'm wondering, because we went over the culture thing, which I think is very important, but also now because you're in a position of teaching, so it's a little different, like your job versus what you're doing now. So you're in a position where kids are going to look to you, high school kids are going to look to you. What are some things maybe that you want to teach, or you want to rub, or parts of you, I guess you could say, or things that you've learned that you want to rub off on them, whether it be like from your journey, how you started to where you are now, and you not predicting that you would be running a camp to be running a camp, to now be running a second camp, so on and so forth. You don't know where it's going. So, if I'm a high school student and like I may not know where I want to go, And,
Yeah.
you know, we all worried about that too, university,
Mm-hmm.
whether or not this is the path I want to take. So I'm wondering, what are some things that you've learned or things that you would like, at least parts of you that you would want to, you know, feed to the kids that are coming?
Yeah, so I think for me, I've just seen a lot of trials in my life, whether it comes from things on my own or just things that have happened out of my control. But just being able to use those use those trials as learning opportunities is a big thing. I think that's one of the main things that has been able to propel me to who I am today. Because at the end of the day, if you let yourself go down a spiral because of one thing that happened, it can debilitate you. But you have a choice. You can either let it bring you down or you can improve from that. And I think it really shows your character on what you do in these types of circumstances. And yeah, just being able to like overcome adversity. Like I said before, faith has been a big thing in my life. So just relying on God, and having the supports around you, like family, friends, being able to speak life into you, life into me in certain situations has been huge. And yeah, just learning from your mistakes, learning from the losses that you take in life is big. And don't be afraid to make mistakes, and don't be afraid to take chances, because at the end of the day, like, we have one life to live, and if you're going to live that life at the end with regret, that's the worst thing you can do. So if you have a dream, if you have anything that you've wanted to accomplish, just go for it. There's a lot of doubts that'll come in the way, but if you stick with it, I promise you, you will not regret it. So that's about it.
Love that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Daniel Fredric.
Thank you for having me.
Episode 9. That's a wrap. You do the claps.